Hey guys, Matt Robinson here, founder of the Professional Investors Guild, and welcome to Ask the Pig. This is a time during the month when I try to answer some of the questions that I receive from some of our members, and I received a great question from Charles this month, and the question was, how do you find hot spots or the areas in your town where houses sell very quickly? These would obviously be areas that you would want to invest in, especially if you're flipping houses. A great question, and I'll answer it here in just a second. But before I do, if you're just now coming across this video and you're not one of our members or you're not part of our mailing list, you don't get our information, and you want to, go down into the description of this video and we'll have a link where you can go to our website, sign up, and just for thanking you for signing up, we have a couple of free gifts for you. One is guerrilla marketing for investors, how to find motivated sellers. It's a great audio lesson for you. And we also have a free report on the top 10 foreclosure mistakes, mistakes that people make when they buy foreclosures, and how to avoid them, which is critical. It's not just about making money, it's about saving money and avoiding the big mistake, and we address some of those issues in that free report. So go ahead and click on that link below, get signed up, and we'll get that information rushed out to you. But the question, back to Charles' question, a really, really good one, and I appreciate him asking it because I know there's probably a lot of you have the same question. But how do you find the hot spots where homes are selling very quickly? And number one is kind of a basic answer, probably not going to give you a lot of information, but the first one would be to ask a realtor. Obviously, realtors, at least active and engaged realtors. Now, I wouldn't tell you to go and ask somebody who, this is one of my biggest issues with the real estate industry as a whole, and that is that the barrier to entry is way too low. I was just laughing about this with somebody over breakfast the other day, that it takes like 1,400 hours to become a cosmetologist in Florida or to do hair or people's nails, but it only takes a 63-hour course to handle somebody's largest asset that they're ever going to purchase, most likely, and that's their home. So I think it's just crazy. But don't go asking realtors who aren't engaged in the business. But if you find yourself a high-octane, on business steroids type realtor who's out there huffing it, doing the business, it's a great thing to ask them because they typically have their pulse on the market. They know which neighborhoods are hot. They know which areas are hot. In my area, it's Northeast Pensacola is very good. Gulf Breeze. There's certain areas, and there's even within certain areas of town, there's certain neighborhoods or pockets of town that are extremely hot. I shared with Charles one of the neighborhoods here that I love, and it's kind of one of those off the beaten path kind of hidden neighborhoods, but it's a neighborhood called Mirabel, and we've done a couple of rehabs in there, and anytime I see a property come up in there, obviously it piques my interest very quickly, because if you look at the statistics in that neighborhood, things sell quickly for cash all the time, and so it's just one of those neighborhoods, and the last rehab we did in there sold the day we listed it to a cash buyer. So it fit the mold of exactly what the neighborhood statistics said. And that leads me to my second point, is that if a realtor doesn't give you good information, or maybe you don't feel comfortable with the answer you received, is ask a realtor, even maybe one that doesn't have a lot of experience. At least they can look up and give you hard data, which we all want to base our, opinions are one thing, and you want to get 3 or 4 different opinions and see what people say, but hard data is something you really can't dispute. And so I always ask, or I check myself because I'm a real estate agent, but if it was you and you needed to ask an agent, find out what the DOM is in that neighborhood. And those of you who are a little bit experienced in real estate, you know the DOM stands for days on market. That's what we really want to know, is how long does the average house in that area take to sell. I remember 5, 6, 7 years ago, there was a specific neighborhood that I used to look at, and if you looked at the days on market, the houses were cheap, and I thought, man, what a great area to buy and resell in. But the DOM, the days on market in there, was like 300 days. I mean, the houses would usually sell, but it took a long time for them to sell because it really was a small buyer pool that would want to live in that neighborhood. And there's other neighborhoods like Mirabel I mentioned earlier, their days on market is under 30 days, even for houses that aren't rehab. Just any house in the neighborhood, the average is less than 30 days. So that days on market will tell you a lot. If all of the homes in the neighborhood are selling in less than 60 days, less than 30 days, you know you've got a really good neighborhood. If it's taking 120, 180, 210, then you may want to dive into the numbers a little bit closer. Now, one of the things I always warn people is try not to be thrown off by anomalies. If you see that 4 of the houses in that neighborhood or in that area or in that subset that you're looking at are selling in, say, less than 60 days, and then you've got 1 or 2 that took 250 days, or sometimes you'll see something crazy, 420 days. Dive into it. It may be an issue. It may be a problem with the neighborhood, but normally if it's an anomaly, it's because it's an anomaly, right? There's something about that house that that drove the larger, longer days on market. And there's a couple things. I mean, we see all kind of things. There could be numerous reasons for that, but a couple that I see often is first of all, is unrealistic sellers, right? If you've got somebody, if you go back and look into the history or ask your realtor to look at the history of that property, if everything in the neighborhood is selling for 99, and then you see this house also sold for 99, and it looked like a good house, and there's nothing wrong with it, and it sold for 99, but it took 400 days. Like, what's the deal? Sometimes you'll go back in the history and see they had it listed for like 350 days for 139 or 129, or something like 25-30% over what the market was, just because they really needed to get that much out of it, or some crazy reasons we hear from sellers that make them think that they can get more for their houses than they're really worth. And then once they dropped it to 99, it sold in just a couple of days, because that's what it took to get to the price point. That's what it took to get buyers interested in it. And so sometimes you want to look at that. Also, you may find out maybe it was next door. The whole neighborhood has nice houses, but this one was next door to the one house that looks like a haunted house, and some crazy horror movie guy lives there. Something kooky. It could be a rundown trailer. It could be, maybe this one is right across the street from the strip club, or you just don't know. Neighborhoods can be quirky. Most of the time they're very consistent, and that's why we can rely on data. I give much more weight to comps that I look at in the same neighborhood versus ones that are maybe in the same area but in different neighborhoods, because things can be up and down. One neighborhood, even though they may look like similar houses, one is kept up better, one is closer to, maybe closer to the school, which is a good thing, while the other one is closer to the bar or the strip club. Those things are going to affect value and how quickly homes sell. So again, just to recap, the way you want to find those hot spots: number one, ask a really good realtor who really has their pulse on the market. Or number two, ask a realtor or somebody who can help you out. Find out what the days on market are for homes in a specific area, but just be on the lookout for anomalies. Don't let them throw you off. Make sure you dig into the data and see if there was something else that was causing it to be on the market for so long. So anyway, thanks for joining me for the Ask the Pig. Again, there's a link down in the bottom of this video description for you to get a couple of free gifts. Join our mailing list. Check out our other Ask the Pig videos, and we'll talk to you soon.